Spirit Vine Retreat Center in Bahia, Brazil, and it's November 2022. We are with a group of people from Europe, different countries. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. My name's Lewis. I come from London in England. I've spent the last few years living in a few different countries. And I came here looking for direction, what I want to do with my life. And that's, I think I found it.
Thank you.
My name is Jana. I'm from Slovakia, but I live in the UK. I work as a production coordinator in the TV production. And I came here to learn more about myself and to find my inner child.
Thank you.
My name is Aline. I'm originally from Belgium. I live in Amsterdam, and I work for a sports company in data and analytics. And I came here to process grief.
Well, ayahuasca is a very useful tool, especially for grief and to heal the fear of death. So would you like to tell us your experience about grief and ayahuasca, or grief and the workshops?
At first I was a little bit afraid of the emotions that would come up. I think in my daily life I have numbed myself a little bit to these emotions, and I was very afraid that drinking ayahuasca and during this retreat it would be overwhelming for me. But I feel during the workshops we were guided so well and provided with so many tools that no matter what would come up, I would be able to handle the emotions associated with the visions and the experience itself. So my first trip actually didn't go into the direction I expected. I thought I would see the grief related to losing my father, but actually ayahuasca showed me the grief that I have related to my past relationships with men. So that was very enlightening for me. In the second and third ceremony, I was able to dig deeper into the grief related to my father, and it was very healing in a way that I realized he's no longer in pain, he's no longer sick, he is still here, the connection is still here, and it's a very strong connection, but it's no longer painful. I also really appreciated the extra time that I got to spend with him in this higher state, in this state of his healed conscious. So I'm very grateful for that.
So did you see him? Did you talk with him in your vision?
I did.
It
Several
looked
times.
very real.
It looked very real. The first time I saw him, it was more his essence. It wasn't his persona, but the connection felt very strong, and I knew it was him. And then in the second trip where I saw him, it was him, and it was his healed self before he got sick. I re-experienced my childhood with him, the good moments. So it was great.
And I think this can continue. Don't have to be only here. If you learn how to make this connection, why not?
Yes, I will treasure it, and I will remember the good moments and his healed self, not the sick self.
Yeah, because you were suffering because he was in pain, but he's not in pain anymore. So you were the only one keeping this suffering.
Yeah.
It was like an addiction,
Yes.
to feel pain, but he's not in that place anymore.
I think connecting to his pain and his sickness was my way to keep him close, and I wasn't ready to let him go in a way, but now I'm ready to let go of his sick self.
Remember what I explained about the trauma? That part of us is encapsulated in a loop. And in your case, your trauma was your father in pain, suffering, dying, And that was repeating all the time, all the time. So it was a constant pain. What you did was to heal this trauma.
Yeah.
That loop doesn't exist anymore.
Yes.
And you recover other connections with him, much healthier and happier.
Yeah. Indeed.
Mm-hmm. It must be a big relief.
I feel very relieved. Yeah.
And what did you learn about your previous relationships?
I realized that I wasn't looking for secure attachments. I feel because I'm used to insecure attachments coming from my childhood, I think I was perpetuating that with my choice of men. I realized that again I was going from prison to prison and from a loop of pain and suffering. So I realized that I need to protect my emotional and physical safety. That I deserve that, and that I need to protect myself in that way.
Looks like you didn't have options. You always have to go through the pain and the suffering. Always, no? Now you know that you can choose.
Yeah.
You don't need to enter there.
Yeah.
Did you learn that in which workshop?
The workshop we did on trying to find pain in your body or an object in your body made me realize the places where I am tense, and I think it comes from past trauma that I had with relationships. So this came back in one of my visions, that I could actually feel that pain and was able to release it, to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And also another workshop related to victimhood. I think I was comfortable playing the victim and being in my role of being a victim and needing to be saved, not by the men that I was with, but then it gave me an opportunity to become a child again and try to cling to my parents in a way.
Which workshop was the one who gave you the insight about something you needed to get rid of or understand?
Victimhood
Mm-hmm.
workshop.
Uh-huh.
I learned a lot during that time, and I feel like I usually put myself into the savior mode, like majority of the time with some of my friends or even family.
For example, you discover any situation in your childhood when you started feeling the victim, entering in that role?
I think maybe when my parents were arguing, I always wanted to kind of save the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, when my dad went to the pub, and that time, like when I was a little kid, like phone, like we didn't really have mobile phones, so my mom always sent me to the pub to bring him home, and like I felt like if I'm gonna, like I felt also that I'm kind of used, because you know my mom knew that if she's gonna send me, he will come. If it would be her who will go there, he's not gonna come home. So I always felt like I'm gonna save the situation and they're not gonna argue if I'll bring him home. But then I brought him home and they were arguing, and
So what a responsibility for a child.
yeah, it was kind
So
of.
you were a savior, but at the same time you failed because they started fighting.
Yeah, so then I felt like,
So it was always, I imagine, when you were a child, you decided that it was your fault.
yeah,
You didn't do a good job.
yeah, that's how I felt. Majority of the time when they were arguing, they're arguing about me, or like because of me.
So a lot of responsibility, and you in the middle of everything, and you accepted this hot potato.
Yeah,
You take it. And why you think still you are in this position, no? You are the victim, still you are taking the hot potatoes?
no, I became better, but after these 9 days, I think I won't accept the hot potato again from people, because I have very like this kind personality that I always want to help everyone, but sometimes people have to save themselves and be their own heroes. And that's what I also decided for myself, that I want to be my own hero, because I think even like when it's going about relationship, I hoped in the past that I'm gonna meet the man or partner who will kind of save me. But recently, the last 2 years, when I started to actually go to the therapy and work on myself, I realized that I don't need anyone to save me. And mostly during these 9 days, I really discovered self-love inside me, mostly self-love for my inner child. And yeah, I think I'm in the good path.
When you
Yeah.
said that you are kind and you want to help, but you are not kind with yourself.
Yeah, that was also my third, my third trip about that. I felt a lot of like family members unhappy, sad, and crying, and I hugged everyone and I told them how I love them, and it was same with my friends. And then I saw my little me, and I wasn't able to do the same thing for myself. And that time I started to think why you can't love yourself as you love others. And it was a very long process during that trip, but then I finally felt that love and gratitude for myself, and I think it was like best feeling in my life, that I felt it like towards myself and towards my inner child, that I really really love her, that I really love myself, and I will never abandon her again.
You said that before coming here you had very different expectations.
I was very excited about retreat and about ayahuasca,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I didn't really know what should I expect, and I was thinking that like my trips will be more about my like relationships with men, and like why I don't have a long-term partner, but actually it all went to the inner child and to relationship with my family, and mainly to relationship with myself. Like that was a big discovery, that it wasn't about like why I can't find love, but it was like why there is no love for myself.
Well, started with yourself.
Yeah.
If you have to please people all the time, where is the love to yourself?
Yeah.
And I gained insights from every workshop, but the big one for me was the shadow workshop.
Mhm.
It was a way of looking at myself that I'd never considered before, and it was the first time that I was able to consciously acknowledge several things that I think I knew already, but subconsciously, if that makes sense. For instance, I was always very subconsciously aware that I see other people who can't love themselves, or they can't see or fix their own problems, and sometimes that frustrates me. And on a much deeper level, I was aware of my reflecting that very same frustration. You know, I have problems. I have had problems for several years that I just haven't been able or even willing to address, and it was like shining a spotlight on my shadow.
So you realize how you were projecting
Yes,
this problem in other people.
absolutely. And also, I consciously acknowledged the fact that I had let go my dreams to work as a professional musician. And then later, that same day on the third ceremony, that's when I had the big insight that I do want to keep pursuing this dream. And I think just realizing that I had let it go.
Why you let it go?
Because the realities of working as a freelancer can be very, very difficult, financially especially. I had, when I tried at first to work as a freelancer, having graduated from university, I had no financial support to sort of sustain this dream, because it takes time to build up enough work to do this full time. And very quickly I ended up moving back in with my parents, and then I got a salaried job working full time 5 days a week, and I was going to use the time in between to keep working on the music, and just didn't really happen. I was too tired and mentally drained, and over time it just, like, the dream got further and further away until I just couldn't really reach it anymore, and I stopped playing music altogether during COVID, and there was part of me that just wanted to let that go, because it was easier than... It was very painful. It was very painful realizing that I'm not connected to music anymore, because it's part of me. It's something that I did growing up every day, and it was easier for me to let it go than to face that pain every day.
So you didn't have any trust inside of you
No.
that you will succeed, even though it's difficult, eventually you will succeed. No trust at all.
And a crippling fear of failure. I've had a lot of failure in my career so far. The majority of the auditions that I've done have not been successful, and that sort of just became a personal belief. You know, if I pass this audition, it will be a miracle.
So you didn't believe it, that you will pass?
No, not really.
So you were not helping
No.
with your attitude?
Self-sabotaging.
And why you were self-sabotaging? Did you discover the cause of this lack of trust?
Yes. I was playing the victim for most of my life. The memory I had of my childhood, where I had made a little tiger out of wireframe. I was very proud of it. I think I was 11 and I'd done it in art class, and then an older boy came and told me what a piece of shit it was, and I took it extremely personally, and that sort of feeling has manifested itself throughout my life in many different situations and in different ways. I can take criticism of things that I've created very personally, very quickly. I perceive criticism where there is none, and sometimes it's so overwhelming.
So it's imaginary, no?
It can be. It can be, but or I imagine that constructive criticism is, it's made to hurt me, and so it was also easier to, if there's an opportunity where I could do something, I've often ignored the opportunity because I don't want to risk feeling that pain.
When somebody was criticizing your work, you said that you took it personally. In the moment you are taking it personally, you are not an adult, you are a child.
Yeah.
You think you were that child in that moment again?
I did. It took a little convincing for me, because when you first mentioned the concept of reconnecting with the inner child, I think in the first workshop, I instinctively went, oh, Here we go.
Why?
Because I don't know, I thought it was some pseudoscience nonsense. I thought, I'm an adult now, I have to be an adult,
But you are not.
I have to be
You
very
are a
serious.
child.
Yeah.
You are not. You were not an adult all the time. You
Yeah.
were a child.
So I'm actually very proud of myself that in the first workshop I allowed myself space and to believe that to believe in the power of what we were doing, reconnecting with the inner child, and
So I convince you to be playful.
yes, yes,
Yeah, because if we start with this, no, this is not science.
yeah,
This is an invention. We will not do the exercise. We'll be criticizing.
yeah,
We waste the opportunity. But if we are playful, okay, I will do it and see what I can find.
yeah,
Instead of being, but the same criticism you have toward the exercise is the criticism you have toward yourself.
yes,
Now this job is not good.
mm-hmm.
I cannot do this. Why I don't risk anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That is the part, the sabotage part,
Mm-hmm.
the saboteur, no?
Yeah,
The saboteur that is destroying everything.
yeah, holding me back.
So when you are playful, you are a child again.
Mm-hmm.
And children are curious, are creative. They don't care if it's science or pseudoscience or what. They will play, they will create, and this is what you need.
Absolutely.
Instead of putting labels.
Yeah,
That for what? At the end for what?
yeah.
So, but you learn this from somebody.
To rationalize.
Somebody put this chip, this program in you, and since then you are doing it all the time. That was giving you security.
Yeah.
This is science. This is the right way to do the things.
Mhm.
No, this is adult.
Yep. I'm not sure where that chip comes from.
But that will be very interesting
Yeah.
to discover the first moment you started doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Because you said it was this child telling you, criticizing your art. But I think you already have this program because of your reaction.
Maybe.
Because another child probably will not care. I like it. That's it. But you took it.
I just remembered an earlier one.
Ah, good.
Do you remember that memory I had? I was 7 or 8, and a boy cornered me in the playground and said, "Why am I not invited to your birthday party?" And I said, "Because you're not my friend and I don't like you." I was like, yes. That same boy, another time, I don't remember when, I found something in the playground and I thought it was a dinosaur tooth. And he grabs it off me and says, "This isn't a dinosaur tooth, look at it." And then he goes over to a tree and scratches it against it and he breaks it and then he gives it back to me. I know this isn't something that I created, but it was just sort of like he sort of stomping on my curiosity and excitement.
Okay, but you allow him to do that.
Yeah.
A lot of people can do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't need to give them power.
No.
But you didn't know how to
I
do
didn't know how
that.
to stand up for myself.
Yeah. Nobody taught you how to do that.
Mm.
So now is your job to set this boundary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's enough, I like it, I want to do it, it's enough.
Mm-hmm.
Of course people will not like, will like. Some people will never like your
Yeah.
music, some people will love your music, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm. It's all okay.
Yeah, the most important is to be in the center. It's not that everybody will love me, everybody will like my job, or nobody will like me. No, in the center. Some people will like what I do, some people will not like.
Mm.
And I want to attract the people that are interested in the type of job I am doing. People that like the type of art I am creating.
Mm-hmm.
So this is your target,
Yeah.
not the ones who don't like you.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that will be very often in everything for everybody. But see, when you start asking, the memories start coming,
Yeah.
and you can go deeper and deeper and deeper.
Mm.
this is a very interesting practice you can continue doing in your home all the time,
I was
really, every day.
I was amazed by the power of this exercise. Just how much insight you can gain from these memories, and how they just start coming.
But now you know how to interpret this.
Yeah.
And what about the pseudoscience?
It's not important if it's pseudoscience or not.
Mm-hmm. What is a pseudoscience for you? Something that you cannot prove?
I suppose, yeah, something that is not hard scientific fact.
Like numbers and...
Yeah.
But how can you do this with psychology? Memories, children, bad habits, programs.
Yeah.
Only you know this memory was real, my reaction was real, my pain was real, the decision you took when you were a child was real for you. You cannot prove it, but you know.
Yeah.
I decided that it's better not to risk because people will not like me. A little boy deciding that. And then you are a man and it's a pattern of behavior.
I think if we would do a survey about people who now believe in what we did here, we would reach statistical significance for sure. So we would have it scientifically on paper that for us it worked.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and then you have social science, which is different, but it's a science also. But I am not worried about that because I don't want to prove to anybody that what we are doing is working, because people can do it themselves. And the proof is that people keep coming back.
Yeah.
And they send their loved ones, their friends, so it must be working. Did you realize the feeling of freedom and relief after the retreat? Because most of us, we are carrying things and we don't know how to stop. The way out, we think is forever. There is no way that I can heal this, because you don't know the technique. In the moment you can apply the technique, everything changes. Wow, it's like a portal open.
Yeah.